To learn about the off-grid lifestyle and to be inspired to live your dreams, click subscribe so you don't miss anything. Hit the bell notification. So tomorrow, I'm getting the 1x4s for the walls and the roof. We're gonna run 1x4s along the strips of the tiny house build. And then I'm gonna start hanging the metal roofing material onto the roof. I'm gonna start on the roof first. I'm actually gonna start on this side. That way I can get the chimney put in and we can start with the wood stove. I'm very excited about that. And then after that, I would imagine I'm gonna be working on this for at least a week or two. In the meantime, I've been trying to catch up on a lot of chores. You know, I did some inside work yesterday, did some caulking, just a little bitty things. I've been somewhat have my attention on firewood for next year. I want to make sure I got enough. I think I got about 4 cords right here. I got another 4 over here. So I'm around 8 cords. We're almost all the way through November and I've used maybe 1.5 cords of wood already. I started using it in September. You know, there have been quite a few cold days. So I just want to make sure I got enough to get through this winter without dipping in the next winter's stash, because it's got to be cured to use that new wood stove. So that means today that I can't work on the tiny house. So I'm gonna go down in the woods and I got a couple dead trees down there. Okay, so here's one of the dead trees that I'm gonna start on. I'm gonna do this one first and then I'm gonna work on this one. Now this is a walnut, that is an oak. This one, I don't know, there's just something about it that makes me a little uneasy. I mean, we got dead branches. I mean, this thing, what do they call them, a widow maker? This thing's just everywhere. This one's gonna be a challenge. I gotta try to keep it out of the other tree. That's not gonna be fun. There's a tree right over there. So I'll have to cut it high. And so when you cut it high, you'll trim off, I don't know, let's say I cut it here, you'll trim off about 4 feet distance. So it'll be 4 feet closer to the tree here versus 4 feet over there. Got to do the same with this one because there's a chance it could land in a tree over there. You can see they're all tied up together. This one I'm not too worried about being any widow makers here because all the branches are leaning the other way. So if they fall, hopefully they fall the other way. The last tree I cut down, dead tree, it went down just fine. Everything was fine. The widow makers were leaning the other way. Everything was safe. When it hit the ground, one of the dead limbs came back and flew over my head. I mean, so these dead trees are very dangerous, but I like to get them because that way I'm not killing the forest. So that's my challenge today, is to keep these out of the other trees. If that happens, then there's a process where you can cut at an angle and kind of work its way down out of the limbs. But that can be dangerous too, because if it starts to get too vertical, it comes back on you. I'll cut this branch here first, and then I'll cut it about right here. I'll wedge it, hopefully in that direction. There's a little hole right there, and I'm hoping I can get it into. Okay, so Husqvarna has a YouTube video where they talk about the 5 steps or 6 steps that you need to do in order to cut a tree down. And first step is you need to look where it's going to land, what's the obstacles. The second step is what's your escape route. Well, if I try to escape back there, you can see all those trip hazards. Bad idea. I have a much clearer path if I go this direction. So since I'm landing the tree, I'm trying to land it kind of, well, behind my shoulder here. It's in the opposite direction. It's not the direction I want to go. I'd like to go that way, but that's very dangerous. Wow, that was perfect. It landed exactly where I wanted it. I wanted to come in between these trees here, right there, if it was going to be too long. But I cut it high enough off the stump that it was almost exactly the same distance to that tree. That is incredible. It was a perfect landing. I don't think I've ever had a perfect landing. You know, I'm still kind of new at this. That was fantastic. So all my learning over the summer, watching YouTube videos, trying to figure out how to do the leans and measure the distances and all that, it's really paying off. A lot of people say, no, nothing better than experience. Well, before you get the experience, you need a little bit of education. The education is really helping. So I'm gonna cut this up and then I'm gonna try that other one. Something that you need to watch for when you're running a chainsaw on dead trees, dead wood, is the exhaust is right in front, right by the blade. And that's to keep the operator safe so they don't get themselves burned. The problem is, it puts out so much heat, it can catch things on fire. I just had a little dry piece of wood, had embers on it, and it was smoking and getting with it, with all these dry leaves laying around. It wouldn't have been long, so you really got to watch for that. So I always walk up and down and see if I see any smoke when I've just cut a tree up. So there's nothing about this tree here that I like. It's dead, it's big, it's got a big old widowmaker, it's got grapevines hanging all around it. I got to get that all cleaned up so that doesn't hang it up. It's just a big mess. Now, the safe thing is just leave it, don't do anything with it. That is a true statement, but I want the experience. And so what I'm doing is I'm doing it way out here in the woods. So if something does go wrong, it's not that serious. Nobody else is gonna get hurt, nothing, no structures are gonna get damaged. So all I need to do is make sure that I am completely aware of what's going on so I can get away. But I would not do this up towards the house. This is just too dangerous for me. I'm not that experienced. I am gonna use wedges. So as I'm cutting the face cut, I'm going to drive wedges into it so it doesn't come back on my saw. These are little plastic things, and if you hit it with your blade, it doesn't hurt your blade. I've nicked it a couple times, and it's just plastic, but they're real solid, and you drive it in with your sledgehammer. Okay, so far so good. Got all the vines cut down. I got my wedge cut out, and boy, I'm very happy with this. Is very solid so far. Very nice looking wood. So now I've driven a wedge in there, and that'll keep it from rocking back on me. Get it where I can cut it, where it has a nice thick hinge in between the face of the front cut and the back cut, and then just take the wedge and drive it until the tree falls over. Two for two. That is fantastic. I am so excited. Man, landed perfectly. Landed right on top of the other one, which is exactly what I wanted, so I can trim it up. So the logs that I had trimmed up, it landed on those logs. So when I go to cut it, I'm not cutting into the dirt. Man, this is great. Well, I'm really proud of myself today. The off-grid lifestyle is a really rewarding lifestyle. You're working for yourself and you're learning for yourself. And you know, I get so many people in the comment section and they're an expert on everything. Just on how to build a tiny house, how to cut trees, how to garden. I mean, they're just the expert on everything. And I would find that very boring. I like the learning process. I like the excitement of, wow, I figured that out. I feel like I'm getting better at it all the time, and this happiness and this joy and pride is something. I'm glad I don't know everything because I have to learn it. I hope I can inspire you to live your dream and learn something new all the time. Don't become an expert. Thanks for watching.